My parents called me on a Tuesday. I thought maybe it was about Thanksgiving plans. Maybe they wanted to know how work was going. Instead, my mom put me on speaker and said this: "Your sister needs that house. You'll sell it to her for $215,000, or you're not our daughter anymore." Not hello, not how are you. Just an ultimatum. The house I worked 10 years to buy. The house I saved 47% of every paycheck for while Mara got new cars and study abroad trips. She wanted it for $215,000. Market value? $500,000. How do you choose between the home you bled for and the family you were born into? I didn't. I chose the receipts. Because I had the deed. I had the bank statements. And I had her CEO husband's private email thread proving she was lying to everyone. Drop your country and the time right now. You'll want to see where this goes. And hit subscribe because this gets surgical. Let me take you back to the day I bought that house. Because my sister told our parents I stole it from her. I was the invisible kid. While Mara got a brand new convertible for her Sweet 16, I got a card with $20 inside. While she studied abroad in Spain on my parents' dime, I slept on a cot in a friend's basement and worked the graveyard shift at a warehouse. I'm not here for pity. I'm giving you context. Because when you grow up being doubted, you learn to document everything. I kept every paycheck stub, every bank statement, every email. It became a habit. At the warehouse, my supervisor was a guy named Greg. He taught me about index funds, about living below your means, about delayed gratification. I started saving. Not 10%, 47% of every paycheck. I did that for 8 years. I lived in that basement. I drove a car with 200,000 miles on it. I brought lunch in a plastic grocery bag. And when I turned 29, I closed on a 3-bedroom house. Cash offer. No mortgage. No co-signers. No help from mom and dad. I cried in the driveway the day I got the keys. I didn't tell my parents right away. I didn't post about it. I just wanted one thing in my life that was mine before the comparisons started. But 2 weeks later, Mara posted a photo of my front door on Instagram. The caption? "Can't believe some people hoard space while family struggles." Broken heart emoji. 3 days later, my mom called. She didn't ask how I was. She asked how much I'd take for the house. They showed up 3 days later. Unannounced. Mara, Mom, Dad. Mara was 4 months pregnant, glowing, hand on her belly the whole time. She sat on my couch and said this: "Joel and I want to raise our baby near family. This house is perfect. You don't even need 3 bedrooms." My mom nodded. "She's offering you money, sweetheart. That's more than generous." I pulled up comparable sales on my phone right there. Houses on my street were selling for $490,000 to $520,000. I looked at Mara. "You're offering $215,000 for a house worth $500,000? She blinked. Tears pooled. "I thought you'd want to help me. I thought family mattered to you." My dad stood up. "If you can't do this one thing for your sister, maybe you're not the person we thought you were." Mara's voice dropped. "Joel said we'd make it work somewhere else. But I told him you'd come through. Don't make me look like a liar." I felt my stomach twist. I looked at all 3 of them. "I'm not selling. This house is mine. I'm sorry you're disappointed." Silence. Then Mara's face changed. The tears stopped. "You'll regret this." My dad grabbed his coat. My mom looked at me like I'd slapped her. She said one line over her shoulder as they walked out. "Don't call us until you're ready to be reasonable." The door slammed. I stood in my own living room feeling like I'd done something wrong. I hadn't. They blocked me. All 3 of them. I tried texting my mom 2 days later. Message turned green. Blocked. Then the family group chat lit up. My aunt sent a message. "Can't believe you do this to Mara. She's pregnant." My uncle piled on. "Your parents are heartbroken. What's wrong with you?" Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years came out of nowhere. All of them siding with Mara. I realized she'd sent a message to everyone, painting herself as the victim. Then the letter came. Fancy letterhead. A law firm in the next town over. It said Mara's attorney was demanding I honor a verbal agreement to sell the property. that I'd made a promise and she'd relied on it to her detriment. They wanted specific performance or $120,000 in damages. I read it 3 times. I'd never promised anything. But they had a lawyer. They had the whole family. I had a mortgage-free house and a pit in my stomach. For about 6 hours, I thought about giving in. Selling it, moving, disappearing. Maybe that's what the invisible child is supposed to do. Then I remembered the binder. And I remembered something else. I'd recorded the entire conversation in my living room. One-party consent state. I didn't reply to the lawyer. Not yet. First, I needed to understand what Mara was really after. I opened the binder. Every document from the home purchase. Mortgage approval showing one borrower, me, wire transfer from my personal savings account. $497,000. Title report. 0 liens. No cosigners. No parental gift letters. Closing disclosure signed on June 14th. 1 signature. Mine. Then I pulled the audio file. I'd hit record on my phone when they walked in that day. Just a habit. I played it back. Mara's voice. You don't even need 3 bedrooms. My voice. I'm not selling. No promise. No agreement. Just a demand and a refusal. I wrote a cover letter to her attorney. Calm. Clinical. Attached, please find documentation disproving your client's claim. I am the sole purchaser and title holder. I made no promise to sell. Continued assertion of this falsehood may constitute fraudulent misrepresentation. I expect a formal retraction within 72 hours. I attached the closing disclosure, the wire receipt, the title report. I attached a transcript of the recording. I hit send at 11:43 at night. I didn't sleep. But I didn't fold either. 48 hours later, the lawyer replied. 2 sentences. Our client maintains her position. Further communication will be through formal channels. Translation? Mara was doubling down. 4 days later, Mara posted a video. She was on camera, hand on her belly, tears running down her face. My sibling bought a house we thought would keep our family close. Now they've locked us out. Literally. I just want my baby to have a backyard. The comments exploded. Sue them. Family is everything. Greed is disgusting. My parents shared it. It went semi-viral in our town. Then my boss called. Hey, someone filed a complaint with HR. They're saying you're involved in a legal dispute. Something about harassment and elder abuse. I don't believe it, but I need a statement from you. I felt my face go hot. Elder abuse? My parents were 58 and 61. I wrote a statement. Kept it short. Sent it to HR. Then the process server showed up. At my office. In front of my coworkers. Are you? He said my name. I nodded. He handed me a restraining order petition. I stood there holding it while my coworkers stared. I read it in my car. Mara was petitioning for a restraining order against me. Grounds? That I'd sent a threatening communication to her lawyer, causing her severe emotional distress during a high-risk pregnancy. The email I'd sent with the proof. She was calling it harassment. The hearing was set for 2 weeks out. I sat in that car and realized something. She wasn't trying to buy my house anymore. She was trying to bury me. I had 9 days to prepare. I could defend myself. Or I could go on offense. I chose option 2, because I'd just found Mara's real plan. And it had nothing to do with a nursery. I called a friend who's a real estate agent. Can you run a title search on my address? And pull any recent activity? She called me back an hour later. You need to sit down. I was already sitting. There's a contingent purchase agreement filed with a developer. Sale price $695,000. Buyer is listed as Mara. My heart stopped. When was it signed? 5 days before she came to your house. I pulled the document from the county records portal myself. There it was. Contingent sale agreement between Mara and Axiom Luxury Developments. Purchase price, $695,000. Contingent on Mara acquiring title by a date 3 months out. Signed. Notarized. Dated 5 days before she sat on my couch and cried about wanting a backyard for her baby. I did the math. She wanted to buy my house for $215,000. Flip it to a developer for $695,000. Walk away with $480,000 in profit. She didn't need a home. She needed $500,000. And she was willing to destroy me to get it. I saved 3 copies of that contract. Then I did something risky. I looked up her husband, Joel, and I sent him an email. I kept the email short. Dear Joel, I'm Mara's sibling. There's a legal matter involving my property. I believe you may not have full context. Would you be open to a brief call? I attached the contingent sale contract. He replied in 4 hours. I'll call you tonight. I had no idea you owned that house. Mara told me it was a family estate your parents were managing. We spoke at 8. Joel's voice was calm, controlled, then confused, then angry. She told me the house was inherited. That you were blocking the family from selling it. I told him the truth. That I'd bought it myself. That she'd offered 57% of its value. He went quiet. Then he said something that made it all make sense. She asked me to co-sign a debt consolidation loan 2 months ago. She wouldn't show me the statements. Said it was medical bills. I didn't push. He paused. I'm going to pull our credit report. He called me back an hour later. $310,000. I waited. She has $310,000 in credit card debt I never authorized. All in her name. Our address. Accounts I've never seen. His voice cracked. The house flip. She was going to clear the debt without me ever finding out. That was the motive. $480,000 in profit. $310,000 in secret debt. She would have walked away clean. If I'd just disappeared. Joel asked me one thing. Don't drop the restraining order hearing. Let her think she's winning. I need time on my side. I agreed. Then I hired an attorney. Her name was Caroline. She specialized in harassment cases and abusive process. I brought her everything. The binder. The recording. The contingent sale contract. The email thread with Joel. She read it all in 1 hour. Then she looked up. This is the most documented case of family extortion I've seen. We're not defending. We're countering. Here's what we filed. Opposition to the restraining order with full exhibits. Proof of sole ownership. Audio proving no agreement. The contingent sale contract proving fraud. And a counter motion for sanctions against Mara's attorney. For filing a frivolous petition. And for my attorney's fees. We also subpoenaed the developer's contract to enter it into the court record. Caroline's exact words? We're going to make lying to a court expensive. I pulled $8,500 from my savings for the retainer. It hurt, but silence was going to cost me everything. I signed the retainer agreement on a Friday afternoon. We filed the motion 36 hours before the hearing. Mara's lawyer received it at 4:47 on a Friday. The hearing was Monday morning at 9. I didn't post anything. Didn't respond to any family texts. Didn't engage. I just waited. The hardest part of power is looking powerless while you load the cannon. I didn't sleep Sunday night, but I wasn't scared anymore. The courtroom was small. Fluorescent lights. Wooden benches. Mara sat at the front in a navy maternity dress, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Her attorney looked confident. My parents sat in the back row. They wouldn't look at me. I sat next to Caroline. Binder on the table. Hands folded. The judge walked in. We stood. Petition for restraining order. Matter of Mara versus my name. Mara's attorney went first. Your Honor, my client seeks protection from ongoing harassment. The respondent sent a threatening legal communication that caused severe distress during a high-risk pregnancy. The judge looked at me. Caroline stood. Your Honor, this petition is retaliatory and provably false. I have 3 exhibits that will take less than 5 minutes. The judge nodded. Caroline projected the first document on the screen. Exhibit A, mortgage closing disclosure and title report. The respondent is the sole owner of the property, purchased with personal funds. No family involvement. She clicked to the next slide. Exhibit B, audio recording of the conversation in question. My client's state is one-party consent. You'll hear the petitioner demand the house. You'll hear my client refuse. At no point is a promise made. She played 15 seconds of audio. Mara's voice. Then mine, clear as day. The judge's face didn't move. But I saw it. The shift. Caroline clicked again. Exhibit C. A contingent sale agreement between the petitioner and a luxury developer. Signed 5 days before she asked my client to sell. Purchase price $695,000. The petitioner intended to defraud my client of $480,000 in equity. Silence. The judge leaned forward. Counselor. He looked at Mara's attorney. Did your client disclose this contract to you? The attorney's face went pale. Your Honor, I move to withdraw from representation. Motion denied. Answer the question. No, Your Honor. The judge turned to Mara. Ma'am, did you sign a contract to sell property you don't own before asking your sibling to sell it to you? Mara's voice shook. It was just a backup plan. I didn't... That's enough. The door opened. Joel walked in. Caroline had him on standby. He took the witness chair, raised his right hand. Mr. Joel, what is your relationship to the petitioner? I'm her husband. What did she tell you about this property? She told me it was a family asset, an inherited property, that her sibling was blocking a sale. And is that true? No, I've since learned my wife purchased nothing. Her sibling bought the house independently. I've also learned my wife has over $300,000 in undisclosed debt. I believe this was a scheme to hide financial fraud from me and her family. Mara was crying. Real tears this time. The judge removed his glasses. Petition dismissed with prejudice. Respondent's motion for sanctions is granted in the amount of $12,000. Petitioner's counsel will show cause in writing why this matter should not be referred to the state bar. We're adjourned. The gavel came down. Mara stood and ran out. My parents sat frozen. Joel stayed behind. He shook my hand. 2 words. I'm sorry. Then he left too. Mara's attorney settled within 30 days. $12,000. Paid in full. The developer canceled the contract. Sent a 1-line email. Agreement terminated due to material misrepresentation. Mara's Instagram went dark. Joel filed for separation 2 weeks after the hearing. The divorce was finalized within a year. He got primary custody when the baby was born. A healthy girl. He sent me a card that first Christmas. Thank you for the truth. It was the kindest thing anyone's done for me. I kept it. My parents didn't speak to me for 6 weeks. Then my dad sent an email. Subject line, we were wrong. 3 paragraphs. Apologies for the favoritism. For believing Mara without question. For the ultimatum. He asked for a chance to rebuild. I didn't reply for 2 weeks. Then I sent 1 line. I need time. And I need to see that you mean it. A year later, we started having brunch, once a month. Supervised in a sense. We talked about safe things. The weather, work, their garden. Mara's name didn't come up. If it did, I stood up. The boundary was clear. It's fragile, but it's progress. Mara and I haven't spoken since the courtroom. I don't know if we ever will. I still live in the house. I added security cameras. A Ring doorbell. I put the house in a revocable trust with a successor trustee. No family members are named. I planted a garden last spring. Tomatoes, basil, sunflowers. I started saying no without explaining why. And I learned something. Keeping receipts isn't about revenge. It's about reality. And sometimes reality is the only thing that sets you free. You don't owe anyone your peace. Not even family. Especially not family who asks you to light yourself on fire to keep them warm. Here's my question for you. Would you have reconnected with your parents? Or was that boundary too broken? Drop a comment. I read every single one. And if this story hit you, subscribe. I've got more stories about boundaries, receipts, and what happens when the invisible kid refuses to disappear. You won't want to miss the next one. One last thing. This story is a fictionalized dramatization for entertainment purposes. It is not legal, financial, or family counseling advice. If you're in a similar situation, please consult a licensed professional in your area. Thank you for watching. And remember, your peace is not negotiable,